She's dealing with cancer. Husband died last August. Reverse mortgage got her $100 and some thousand to pay for home care. He was 3 years down on the taxes. He had a disabled son. House was uninsured. We got him another $800 a month and spent our money. It's not about, oh, you need a reverse mortgage. It's about what's the issue that we need to solve a problem about. Recognize the fact that reverse mortgages keeping mom and dad from asking the kids for life, which I think is the greatest blessing you can do for the kids. If you start looking for problems and offer people a solution to their problems, you end up with happy customers. Okay.
Don.
Yes.
So what we like to say is you're born and then what?
And they won. Okay. I was born in Washington, Pennsylvania, and grew up in Peters Township, which is about 17 miles south of Pittsburgh. It was known at the time I was growing up as the most notorious speed trap south of Pittsburgh, because it was on U.S. Highway 19, which was the main truck route south out of Pittsburgh. And
was it mandatory you were a Steelers fan?
it didn't matter. I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a sports fan.
Oh, not a sports fan. Okay.
Not a sports fan.
Okay.
For me, sports is business.
Okay.
My dad's been self-employed since I was 5. He's gone now. My brother took over the business. My brother's dead now. So it's into the 3rd generation of the same auto repair business back there. But I grew up there. Didn't do much with sports. I was in a band, chess club. I was the geek. And then went off to engineering school on a regular Navy ROTC scholarship. And I joke about the fact my class standing kept rising because people below me kept disappearing.
Yes. And it's automatic, huh?
All right. I made it through. I graduated and went to flight school. Spent the first 2 years the Navy in school, then through flight school, getting my wings, and then through ASW school, transitioning in the P3s, and then joined a squadron in Adak, Alaska. That deployment, I spent 4 months in Adak, which is halfway out the Aleutians, and then a month on Guam during that deployment. We came back to Moffett Field, which was just south of San Francisco.
Did you like Guam?
It was just a rock with an airport on it.
Okay.
As far as I was concerned.
Didn't get to explore much, huh?
I didn't know.
Okay.
And even less so on Adak, because there's no fence and there's no gate, because there wasn't anybody on the island except the Navy base at the time you were there.
Wow.
And we were flying missions out off the coast of Russia that we had to come back with enough fuel to go to Elmendorf, which was 1,000 miles east, if the weather was bad. So we were limited to 8-hour missions out of Adak. Came back to Moffett and then went to Japan for the next deployment. Was there in December 71, 72, when the Indians and the Pakistanis got up into a dust-up. And
were you scared to go overseas?
nah.
You were just like, I just took orders and went?
Heard your flag. Our missions are primarily against Russian submarines. And so we were doing shipping surveillance and anti-submarine warfare.
Did you see any?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Christmas 71, 72, the Indians and the Pakistanis got into a dust-up. Nobody told the Americans it was over, so the Russians sent a task force out of Vladivostok down around Malaysia into the Indian Ocean. The Americans sent a carrier task force following the Russians. The Russians sent 2 submarines running on the surface following the American Carrier Task Force, and we had a P3 over the Russian submarines 24 hours a day, looking at them, taking pictures of them, and they're taking pictures of us. And
Smiling.
the war was over, but nobody told the Russians in Americans. We were flying out of Thailand, and we were supposedly limited to 4 airplanes at a time at Unipal, but we were limited to 4 airplanes on the ground. I think we had 9 airplanes in there, and Air Force started complaining about the amount of fuel we were burning. But
Yeah.
that was it. It was the mission that we did. And
Did you fly by yourself or did you have a co-pilot?
well, this is a 12-man crew. It's a 4-engine turboprop,
Oh, I see. A big plane.
big airplane.
I see.
Yeah. Advantage to those was that the airport was where I left it. We went flying off the boat.
Ah, gotcha.
I did carrier qualify in flight school in a T-28, and again out of Jacksonville. We went over to Jacksonville from Corpus Christi and make carrier qualifying at a S2. And for me, the scary part wasn't the landing or the takeoff, but it was taxiing around on the boat that it got to me, because the last trap, they gave me the signal to fold the wings on the S2 and set me off to taxi around. And they took us to the stern of the ship, and the guy's giving me one of these come forwards. And I'm looking down at water because we're hanging the nose of the airplane over the side of the ship, off the aft of the ship, and he's giving me this, and I'm saying,
No. I'm not going overboard.
And the instructor that was in the right seat with me, he says, it's okay, the nose wheel's behind us, so he can see where we are.
Oh.
And just go ahead. And I said, okay.
That's
You
trust.
say so.
Yeah, that's trust.
Oh, I don't want to swim for it.
Right.
But that was my, I mean, in terms of stress, that was the taxiing around on an aircraft carrier for me was worse than landing or takeoff on it.
Was it a fun time for you?
Mostly, yes. Particularly in retrospect, there were stressful times, but
Sure.
got to see a chunk of the world and
Fly all over the world on the government's dime.
Yeah.
And get an education.
And they paid for my school, and at the time, 4 years of school cost me 4 years in the Navy, and going to flight school cost me another 6 months, so it wasn't bad then. I think now the obligated service is up around 8 years or 10 years. So I don't know what the number is, but you got to stay a lot longer today.
Okay.
And then I've been to Pensacola since, and it's really quiet down there now compared to when I was down there. There's not like going on there.
We vacation in Orange Beach, Alabama, and we fly into Pensacola all the time, and it's a cool little town.
You ever boarded Naval Air Station?
No, we haven't.
There's a museum there
Okay.
on the Naval Air Station. It's open to the public.
Do they have your picture in there?
No.
No. Okay. We're famous, huh?
Just airplanes I flew that are in there, and
they have the Blue Angels there. Is that right?
Angels were based there.
Okay.
When I was there, I think they moved since.
Oh, okay.
They're based someplace else, but yeah, it was a fun time.
So when did you come back and you said you served 22 years or?
No, 4 years.
Oh, 4 years.
4.5 years.
Okay.
I went on active duty in June of 68 and got out in January 73.
Okay.
And went to work as an application engineer in Los Angeles. I was out there for a year. Some people loved it there. I realized it wasn't the place for me.
What was LA like back then?
Wall-to-wall people for as far as I could drive.
Is that right?
In a year, I could not find the end of the beaver. Compared to Denver, I can get in my car and know where the people end here.
Yes. My daughter just moved back from LA LA Santa Monica area, and it's still like that. I think it's pretty congested.
Oh, I lived in Huntington Beach.
Oh yeah, sure.
It was 37 miles one way to work. I was driving 2.5 hours a day to and from work.
Yeah, that's not really close to LA. Yeah.
And I was getting frustrated, so I had one job interview with Mobile when I was there. It was 5 miles farther for haul. And I got into the interview and we started the normal chit chat, and I stopped and said, "Wait a minute, where's the job you're talking about? Sounds like it might be here." And he said, "Yep, it's here. And if I do good, then where do I get transferred to? New York City." I said somebody wasn't listening whenever I
said I wanted to work here. Yeah.
No, I'm not trying to get another job in LA. I'm trying to get out of this area to some place where I can find where the people end.
Mm-hmm. So you got out?
I got out. I got out at the end of the year. I got a transfer back east on a training program, and then came out here and found out that after a year and a half learning about certain equipment, nobody here bought the stuff that I learned to sell.
It's a problem.
It hired me on the basis of 1972, 73, refining capacity in the country was getting tight because of the increase in gasoline sales.
Mm-hmm.
And they expected a refinery building boom. And so that was what they were hiring me to get prepared for. In fact, since then, there's been exactly one built till today.
Wow.
But the Arab oil embargo and changes in the oil and gas industry, he came out here and it became oil and gas production equipment. And so, as I mentioned earlier, I got a territory, Colorado, Wyoming, half in New Mexico. Got a list of accounts that were not mine, and I got everything else. And so I spent my time trying to find somebody that bought this stuff and to see what I was selling, because this was big in equipment, expensive equipment. I had to sell one that I could see it, and when it got installed. And so
what did you learn from that whole process?
persistence.
It's a good skill.
Particularly in sales, because I remember through about 9 months in, I kept putting out quotes and quotes and quotes and quotes, and nothing closed. No one was buying anything because Congress was couldn't decide on what the rules were going to be. We had price controls and other things going on that nobody wanted to move forward with stuff. And I remember walking around the office one day saying, "I wish I could at least lose an order." It convinced me that there were orders out there.
Yeah, there's
something going on, but I can't even lose an order.
Right.
Because I keep following up on these proposals and nothing's going on. And then they started allowing prices to come up. And what this was caused by, for those who are old enough to remember, but in the 1960s, we were building all electric homes because there were no gas taps.
That's right. Yeah, all electric baseboard heating.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
And the reason was because in 1954, the federal government put price controls at the wellhead on natural gas. Well, at 10 cents a million BTUs, production was limited, drilling was limited. People knew where the gas was, but couldn't afford to produce it at 10 cents.
Mm-hmm.
When the price went to 50 cents, folks went out and re-drilled the same field that they already knew was here. So in this area, it was a DJ base. And so activity started to pick up in 76, 7. 8 and on.
So how long a period of time were you just beating your head against the wall? I mean, that's
A year or so.
oh, okay. Okay.
Uh,
But still, that's a long time. Yeah.
yeah, but it did the same thing when we got in the mortgage business 29 years ago. Okay.
That's true.
Uh, and a lot of that was driven by the fact that in 23 years of corporate life, I worked for 15 different companies. They're all gone by now, sold, merged, closed, whatever. And so when we started in the mortgage business, it, I bought a business opportunity. My wife and I got started in the business. I realized after a couple months, couldn't do it part-time and make anything of it. So left my last corporate job. 6 months after that, I realized that the business was valid, but the company we were in business with was not. So we threw the business opportunity away, started Orion Mortgage in late 96, and we're still here.
Wow.
So claim to fame is after 29 years, we're still in business.
Is that what inspired you to write this book here?
What inspired me to write the book was that I saw how valuable reverse mortgages were to people, but they were not being properly represented to the public. The public does not understand this product.
Well, I could kind of see our audience cringe a little bit when you say the words reverse mortgage. So why does it get a bad rap?
Fan stories from people don't understand the product or what's going on with it. And as with any other product, any other industry, you're dealing with people. Some people are out to help the borrower and some people are out to take advantage of the borrower. If the people are in it just to make a commission, then they're limiting turning people into products that don't meet their needs. Properly used, what got me into the reverse mortgage business was a financial advisor sent a gentleman over to him. He was 75. He thought he was in great shape in terms of retirement. He had sold a business, and that was going to provide his retirement income. 2 problems. His house remained collateral for the business,
Oh.
for the business loans,
Mm-hmm.
and the buyer of the business didn't refinance them into his own name like he was supposed to and didn't make the payments. So the bank was coming for his house.
Mm.
Dodd-Frank had outlawed the loans that he needed. Prior to Dodd-Frank, could have had the loan he wanted, it would have been no problem. But instead, a reverse mortgage at the time solved his problem. His house was free and clear. We got him $100,000 out of his house. He paid the lender off, repoed his business, and sold his stuff. But it let him keep the house and saved his situation because without the business, he didn't have the income to get a regular mortgage.
Explain for the audience what a reverse mortgage is, because it's sort of a weird name, reverse mortgage.
Well, the term comes from the idea of starting with a house that's free and clear, and instead of making payments to the bank makes payments to the borrower. And basically it's a loan where those monthly payments go to the borrower and they can be set up as a 10-year payment, which means they last for as long as the borrower lives in the house, pays the taxes, pays the insurance, and maintains the house. That's basic concept. One of the more common uses for it is not start with a house that's free and clear. It's to start with a house that has a mortgage on it and eliminate the mortgage payment. So in that scenario, it acts just like a forbearance program. That we've just gone through a period when the government decided we're going to do forbearance programs, except for one difference. With a reverse mortgage, you have a permanent forbearance program that's good for as long as, actually it's good as long as you live in the house and pay taxes, insurance, and maintenance, or you turn 150 years old.
So
What's going to happen first, right? So
Whichever comes first.
Yeah.
Nobody's made it to 150 years old, so
Right.
it's as long as you live in the house and pay the taxes, insurance, and maintenance. That's a fairly safe bet right now. But every mortgage has to have a due date. You can make payments on a reverse mortgage just like you can on a forward. So it basically puts the borrower in a situation where payments are optional. I've had people get a reverse mortgage and make payments on it to keep the balance from growing.
What's the advantage of that? Just leave to an inheritance, or?
It leaves them more money later.
Oh, okay.
They've got a line of credit. Every payment they make adds to the line of credit, just as if you paid down
like a credit card.
a credit card or a home equity line of credit. With a reverse mortgage, you've got a credit limit on a line of credit. So the specific case that I'm thinking about was a lady who she was a real estate agent. Her house was free and clear when she came to me, but she had the house next door was a rental property with a loan on it. She wanted to get rid of the mortgage payments on the rental property, so we did a reverse mortgage on her primary residence, used that money to pay off the rental property, so she had no payments due on either property, and she had to pay taxes, insurance, and maintenance on both of them, but she's got rental income to go with it. In her case, she had enough cash flow at the time that what she did was she just made the payments of the interest of the mortgage insurance each month, keep the balance flat, and that way she had a growing line of credit that could be used later. And
That is a great tool.
and so to what you're surprised at, that's one of the many ways that it can be used. And I look at this product much like I did my engineering problems, which is, how do I solve somebody's problem with the product? It's not about, oh, you need a reverse mortgage. It's about, what's the issue that we need to solve a problem about? And everyone is different. That's why I started telling the stories. What the book is about is telling stories of different people in the book. Some that have occurred more recently. The last one we closed was a lady whose husband died last August. She's dealing with cancer. She has no children, and she needed home care, non-medical home care to
Just live.
live.
Mm-hmm.
And so a reverse mortgage got her $100 and some thousand to pay for home care. The choice that she has, she can do it with a reverse mortgage and use that money out of the house to pay for the care, or she could go on Medicaid. If she went on Medicaid will pay the bills. Then they come back when she's gone and do an estate recovery against the house. So either way, she's spending money out of the house. The difference is that if she uses the reverse mortgage, she gets to pick her caregivers. If she uses Medicaid, then Medicaid picks her caregivers. And I
There
don't
you
know
go.
about you, but I'd rather be picking my caregivers.
Right.
As long as the money holds up, I'd rather have that flexibility in the choices. Another man that we solved the problem for was came to me over in Aurora. He was 3 years down on the taxes. He had a house that was free and clear. He had $1,200 a month in roughly $1,200 a month in Social Security income. He had a disabled son living with him on a house less than $650 a month in disability income. 3 years down on the taxes, the house was uninsured and uninsurable. So at the time they came to us. Reverse mortgage brought the payments current on the taxes current. We fixed the house so it was insurable. We got an insurance policy on the house, so if it burned down, he didn't lose everything. We got a life expectancy set aside for him to pay for future taxes and insurance for his life expectancy. And we got him another $800 a month in federal money. That's life transforming for somebody.
Sure is.
Keeps him in the house and allows him to stay in a much better financial situation than what he came to.
So do you have to have perfect credit for these types of loan products?
No, you don't have to have perfect credit. And this product requires the least income of any loan you'll get. The credit, you have to be in, you can't be in foreclosure. You can't be in a bankruptcy. Beyond that, we look at whether you paid the tax and insurance on time for the last 2 years. If you have not, then a life expectancy set aside becomes mandatory. For most people, it comes to either they've been making their mortgage payments. Credit's typically not an issue. The big issue is, do they have enough equity? If they have enough equity to get one, then the rest of the transaction usually goes pretty smooth.
One of the myths that are out there is that with the reverse mortgage, you're upside down. Is that true?
No. Why would the lender want to let you go upside down?
Right.
If you go upside down in the house, it means the lender's going to lose money at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
The lender wants the borrower to have equity in the house so that whenever they leave the house, they will sell the house, pay off the loan, and walk away with money. If they do that, the lender comes out whole. If they go upside down in the property, then there's no money to pay off the loan in full. Somebody's got to pay the short. That's where the FHA mortgage insurance comes in, is to pay a short if it's there. FHA doesn't want to write a check for the short.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2017, they cut the principal limits, the amount they would lend on the loans down, and they're structured so there's going to be equity in the home at the end. Best case for the borrower is to go upside down in the house.
Right.
Because if you go upside down in the house, it means the borrower got the money and the lender took a loss.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. That usually doesn't work, but yeah.
Lenders are not inclined to structure
right.
transactions so that they lose money.
Right.
So the disappointment tends to be that the borrower can't borrow as much as they think they should, but that's because the lender doesn't want to lose any money on the transaction.
Right.
And that should be pretty straightforward. The issue that I see come up in those cases, people think that if they can get one today, they could get one tomorrow. And I hear the I don't need a reverse mortgage today scenario just over and over and over again. But I had a lady in Bailey who's a poster child for how that can work out badly, because I did a proposal for her in 2021, just before the interest rates ran up. And she could eliminate her mortgage payment and get about a $30,000 line of credit with it. She didn't want it then, don't need it now. Came back in 23 and said, okay, we're ready to do one now. Okay, I'll rerun the numbers. You can get a reverse mortgage. I need $30,000 cash from you to get one now because of the change in interest rates. Rising interest rates take the principal limit, which is the amount you can borrow, down. And with a rapid run up in interest rates between 21 and 23, and the principal limits went down, and she couldn't get one.
Oh,
So the whole business of taking it for granted that you could get one later, and we have a society that's been trained to be able to walk into the car store and get a loan for the car, don't have to think about it ahead of time. You want a refrigerator, go into Best Buy and they'll sell you a refrigerator and finance it on the spot. You go into, you want furniture, walk in and take jabs, load your truck and finance the thing, and you're on your way. But with these, particularly if there's a loan on the house, it's easy to find yourself in a situation where you can't borrow the money when you want it. And that's my greatest frustration, is getting people to take a look at it, understand it, and know that getting one in place does not mean you have to spend the money.
This podcast is sponsored by Estrada Real Estate Group. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing in real estate, we can help you. Text us at 303-832-2120. Now back to the Estradanary Conversation.
when should you start thinking about at least looking at it?
When you turn 62.
Okay. Is that the minimum age?
62 is minimum age for the FHA product. Good example of how that was used with a lady that was a healthcare professional and came to us. She was retiring. House was free and clear. She had no need for money. She had plenty of day-to-day cash flow to take care of whatever her needs were. She said, I want to get a line of credit in place. Probably will pay down the closing costs and let it sit there, because the line amount will grow at the interest plus mortgage insurance rate. And her premise was that she understood how fast health issues can change.
Absolutely can.
We are all one fall from the nursing home, which is the short story of
It's true.
Wario.
Yep.
And none of us want to face that fact. What she understood was that having a couple $100,000 available could be very useful in case of a medical emergency.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Need to go to whatever type of community, need home modifications, need whatever. It's possible is once the reverse mortgage is in place, you can set it up like mine is, where I've got the paperwork and send it into the servicer. They've got 5 days to process it, and the money electronically shows up in my checking account. So once the loan is in place, money is available in a week.
Wow.
And I can tell you that for somebody that's in the middle of a medical emergency, it's not, that loan's going to go slowly,
Right.
way slower than you think.
Mm-hmm.
One lady that we talked to out in Brighton, talked to her for several months. She said, okay, let's go. Took a loan application by phone, got the paperwork together, delivered it to her. She broke a hip. I got the loan app back 5 months later.
Oh.
While she was dealing with a broken hip and rehab, nothing happened on the mortgage. It sat there. I got the loan out back. We went through it, got the loan closed, got rid of her mortgage payment. Less than a year later, her husband died. She called, talked to Terry and said, boy, I'm glad it was in place when he died, because not having a mortgage payment and having some other cash available made things a lot easier to deal with his death.
Wow.
And therein is a place that people routinely miss in their planning, is that in many cases, husband and wife both have a Social Security check coming in. They don't give much thought to the fact that when the first one dies, one of those Social Security checks is going away, and there's going to be an income drop, which is probably going to be more than the amount they spent on groceries for that person that died.
Right.
Having a reverse mortgage in place can backfill that income drop. And we've done them for specifically that purpose. I had a lady in Montrose we did one for, and the plan was just that. Their financial planner looked at their situation, realized that they were okay as long as both spouses were there. But if husband died, she was going to have a problem staying in the house. So we got the reverse mortgage in place so it could just sit there until the need arrived. When the need showed up, then it could turn on and start taking payments on. The problem with that was that she had trouble understanding why she should have some money laying around that she didn't spend.
Yes.
Some people have trouble with access to money and not spending it.
I have that problem.
And
You know?
I can talk about it, but I can't fix it.
Yep. Do you get much pushback from the kiddos?
It depends which ones.
Yeah.
The ones who understand it, no. Ones who, well, it depends. The kiddos that are waiting for an inheritance are the ones who you get the pushback from. The ones who have figured out that they how to make some money and support themselves, and they're saying, "Mom and Dad, we don't need the money. Take care of yourselves." Recognize the fact that reverse mortgage is keeping Mom and Dad from asking the kids for life, which I think is the greatest blessing you can do for the kids. Number one, teach them how to go make some money, save it, and build their own net worth so they don't need money from Mom and Dad. I'm not saying don't give it to them, and I'm not saying don't help Mom and Dad. I'm just saying if you get the kids an education so that they can make a living at something and don't need Mom and Dad's inheritance, that's the best thing you can do for your kids.
Right.
And then what comes to mind when you ask that question is the later came to us, we were talking about a reverse mortgage on her home, and we were going to have a meeting at Son's home and talk about it. Well, the meeting at Son's home got canceled, and he had an objection to getting a reverse mortgage. Well, when I looked out the property records on his house, I discovered why. And he lived in a $1 million plus house in Boulder when that was an expensive house. He'd been in and out of foreclosure already, which meant his finances were not in order. And what he was looking to do is move Mom in so that he could tap her funds to help him pay the bills.
Yikes. Yeah.
Um,
You can't overcome that.
I can't overcome that. I just swallowed and said, okay.
Best of luck. Best of luck. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I kind of threw a hand grenade into that one too, because my last discussion with him, I suggested that if I knew that was the situation, and I suggested if he didn't want Mom to get a reverse mortgage, then he ought to just write a check and help Mom.
Right.
It wouldn't be a problem.
That's right.
And knowing full well I didn't have any money.
Yeah, it wasn't going to happen. Yeah.
That wasn't going to happen. He'd just give it up
Right.
but if I can't lose the deal I don't have, so
Right.
it's
Right.
sometimes.
It's just worth to just throw it out there and leave, you know? Yeah.
See what happens.
That's what we call drop the mic, you know?
Yeah.
So is there a second book coming out?
I don't think so.
No.
Now, uh, this one lays it out in principle, and probably the question we keep asking is, how much longer am I going to keep doing this?
Mm-hmm.
At 79, I get caught between a lot of people don't keep working at this age, particularly where we are right now. But I do have a friend that's 10 years older than I am, so I keep seeing him at networking meetings. And as long as I see Sid coming to the meetings, I'm probably going to keep chasing him.
Not going to let him win.
No. And Dad kept going till 94, so I got a ways to go
Okay.
at this point. But, Orion Mortgage is just, my wife and I, we're a mortgage broker, which is the way to get the least expensive loans out there. Is I got an article in 1997 explained that the business has negative economies of scale. So as you grow a mortgage company, the expenses grow faster than income. And the constant conflict in the business is that we can get closer to the borrowers and serve them better, and we've got lower overhead, lower expenses. But the big guys have an advantage in two areas. One is that they can buy advertising cheaper than I can, and they also have control of the legislature. I can't afford to
Right.
the lobbyists that they can, so the rules will continually favor them, and you just get that up.
Yeah.
And the same thing on the advertising. The easiest way to explain it is there's one large company that does mortgages, has 10,000 offices around the country. If they spend $1 million on a website, that's $100 to each office. So it's an insignificant expense. I can't afford to spend $1 million on a website.
Right.
Yeah. And if we generated business that justified $1 million investment, I couldn't handle it. So there's no point. I mean, same principle applies on advertising, TV, you name it. The big guys are going to win in the advertising arena. We just have low costs, and I don't advertise pricing, but I've had people check my pricing against the competition, and we come out pretty well
Yeah.
on that. So we're pretty competitive on price.
How is it working with your wife?
Good.
Yeah.
I have a wife that works well with me.
Because I have a wife too, and she works with me. So
The deal is simple. She owns it. She lets me be president.
okay.
She gets the money. I get the title, and that's the way it's been for 29 years.
Well,
My premise is simple. There's nobody else in the world that either gains or loses more than she does with everything we do in the business. If the business goes well, not only do I do well, that she does well. If the business goes poorly, it's going to take a toll on her. The kids will ride in the boat until they're 18. My youngest is 43 now. So he's got to deal with his problems on his own. But we're in a boat together for a long time. And so nobody else is going to have the same interest in helping things go well as my wife.
Mm.
And vice versa. That's my premise in the situation. As long as you look at it as a merged interest and you're trying to do the best you can for both of you, then why not?
Mm-hmm. Did she get in it first and then you came along, or vice versa, or both at the same time?
Now you're going to blame me for getting into it. And she came along kind of whether she wanted to or not.
No choice in the matter, huh?
And some days I'm not sure whether she's forgiven me for that or not, but she stays with it. It turns out that we have opposite strengths, and she's able to do things that I would not do well, and I do things that she wouldn't do well. And so instead of being in conflict, play to our strengths. She has the patience. We split things up. I basically take the process from, hello, what do you want to do, to sign here on the loan application. Then I hand her the paperwork, and she deals with the appraisers and the title work and the underwriters and the people that I would get very frustrated with. And then when we get to the end, she hands me the file and says, go to closing and make sure it closes. And so I go to all the closings, and we tag team the in-between parts in a way that generates some pretty happy customers. And our premise has been for 29 years that happy customers will bring us more happy customers.
It's a pretty good model. It's been time tested.
There are two models seem to work. One is focus on happy customers and bringing you more happy customers. That seems to work. The other one is heavy advertising, slam them for all the money, and plan on nobody coming back. And that model has worked for some people. The ones that die are the ones that can't decide which end they want to play in.
That's right.
If they try to play in the middle, they don't generate the happy customers, and they don't get all the money, and they're gone.
Yep. One's short term and one's long term.
I'm more concerned about being in business tomorrow than I am about what happens today.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a philosophy thing.
Where'd you learn that? Just being in it this long, or was that just ingrained in you when maybe you were raised that way?
Well, Dad had that same philosophy. And at one time I thought it was a right-wrong thing. And then I worked, and it was in my time as a sales engineer. I saw situations where I had customers say, can you meet the competition? And I'll give you the business. They're quoting this and you're quoting that. In some cases, I would say, well, I got to see what they're quoting to make sure that what we're going to meet.
Apples and apples, right?
Apples and apples.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. And then I had that happen with one particular competitor, and then I went to work for the competitor. And the competitor's salesman that I had taken an order from that way was at the next desk. And so we talked about our philosophical differences. His premise was, you bid a job. If you're a low bidder, you get the job, and the next job won't matter. You'll be back on the bid list. And if you're a low bidder, you'll get it again. And you can basically, how you treat the customer doesn't matter. My philosophy was that how you treat the customer does matter. And so they need to be taken care of, and it will matter on the next order. But when I looked around at our customer lists and who we were dealing with, I realized that we were both right. And if the sales manager had figured it out, which he didn't, he would have split the accounts and given the other salesman one list of accounts and given me a different list of accounts, and we could have maximized business on both fronts. He could have had the people that performance doesn't matter.
Price conscious.
Yep. Performance doesn't matter. I take the ones that you build a relationship with, and how you take care of them does matter. And
you both win.
And we both win. There were there are people sensitive to each one, and I've given up on the idea that one is right or wrong. It's different. And there's a lot of stuff that in earlier days I thought was more right wrong than I think it is today.
Interesting.
The ultimately business is simple, not easy. All it has to do is get an order, fill the order, get paid, and do it again.
Rinse and repeat.
Yep. Doesn't matter what the business is.
That
That's the essence of any business.
yeah.
Two core inputs. One is supervision, the other is money. Where the example was used as airplanes. Or build a little airplane. You could build a little airplane in your garage with tooling that you can buy and build yourself an airplane. Design it yourself, or if you have the skills, or buy a kit, put it together, and build yourself an airplane. If you want to build 747s, you aren't going to do it in your garage. You need a big company. You need a big hangar. You need a lot of money, big tools, and lots of people. If you're competing with Airbus, the structure's a mess, whether it's Boeing or Airbus, but they both deal with the same mess. And so they're competing on equal footing. Boeing isn't going to build little airplanes. The people who build little airplanes aren't going to build big airplanes. Business is the same way. There are certain businesses that need to be big businesses, and there are certain businesses that need to be a small business.
That's wonderful. That's a great analogy that you just got to pick one.
You got to pick where you want to play.
You can't be the medium where you're doing a little bit of the big stuff, doing a little bit of the small stuff, and it just doesn't work.
If you figure out what you want to do, figure out how to get good enough to get paid to do it, and quit working for the rest of your life.
There you go, Nathaniel. That's the essence, right?
Is that true or false?
I agree with that. Absolutely. Yes. Yep.
It's no longer drudgery at that point.
Right. It's no longer the grind. It's just doing what you want to do.
Yeah, and get paid to do it.
Wow.
Been doing that for almost 50 years.
Wow. It's very rare.
I know. But the story behind that was 1978, I was going through a divorce. I was in a job that was stressful. Told my boss, I'm thinking about leaving. He said, do you have another job? I said, no. He said, you're a compressor salesman. We pay more than anybody else in the industry. How can you leave? The essence of my answer was hide and watch. I walked out the door without another job. Do you tell I haven't missed too many meals?
You landed on your feet, huh?
I haven't missed any meals in the time. It's had its ups and downs, but I'm still here.
Wow.
And
And people need you to do reverse mortgages for them.
And that's what we're here to do. It's just serve the public. And I'm looking for people who can benefit from the product. It's not about pushing the product onto somebody. It's a philosophical thing on sales. It's instead of what gives sales a bad name is people trying to push something off on people that don't need it. Instead, if you start looking for problems and offer people a solution to their problems, you end up with happy customers. They tell their friends, and you feel good about it, and it all works easy. It's not stressful. I won't say not stressful.
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of stress on there. Yeah.
There's stress, but the stress is pretty manageable whenever you're providing a product or a service that is beneficial to your customers. If the customer is winning every time, that's a good place to be. And it puts me in a situation where when I meet my customers in the grocery store or someplace else, it's a pleasant conversation. I'm not having to look down the aisles and say, "Oh, I don't want to pay."
Run away from them.
No, I never run away from them. We live and work in the same place. Our customers know where to find us, and they use us as a trusted advisor. I get calls. Last one was yesterday, I think. Lady called about, I got this mailing. What is this? Eh, it's a junk mail. But yeah,
Yep.
or they got issues. And Terry got the call from the kids when one of our clients died. What do we have to do now? We'll walk them through the process and they'll how to do it. And those are the kinds of things that I don't know, it feels good to be of help to people, and I get paid for helping people.
Yeah.
Uh,
So you finally got your dream job, huh?
yeah, for me, it's as good as it gets.
Mm.
Keep going until they box me up, carry me out. There's no reason to quit before that, and just kind of control the process and the work with wholesalers that do a good job, and we have to pick who we work with, and it works out well.
I love it.
Is that
I love that. Well, I don't think there's anything else to say. I think we wrap it up with that
okay?
because that's a mic drop, you know?
Okay.
So, all right, Don. Well, thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.
All right.
Anytime. If you got more questions, I'm happy to answer them. I do presentations if somebody wants them. Somebody wants a book, reference this item, and I'll send one to anybody in Colorado.
Wonderful.
I'll bladder around the world. If you're outside of Colorado,
Maybe we'll find somebody for you.
well, it's on Amazon or
Oh, okay.
eBay or your local bookstore, so they can get it, or in the library. Okay.
All right, Don. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
All right.